Mr. President?
Yes?
What are the prerequisites or conditions for resumption of some form of trade with Red China?
We're not planning to trade with Red China in view of the policy that Red China pursues. When the Red Chinese indicate a desire to live at peace with the United States, with other countries surrounding it, then quite obviously the United States would reappraise its policies. We don't wedded to a policy of hostility to Red China. It seems to me Red China's policies are what create the tension between not only the United States and Red China, but between Red China and India, between Red China and our immediate neighbors to the south, and even between Red China and other communist countries.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Following up that, sir, would you give us your appraisal of the situation in South Vietnam now since the coup and the purposes for the Honolulu conference?
Well, because we do have a new situation and a new government. We hope a increased effort in the war. The purpose of the meeting in Honolulu, which Ambassador Lodge will be there, General Hawkins will be there, others, with Secretary McNamara and others, and then, as you know, later Ambassador Lodge will come here, is to attempt to assess the situation, what American policy should be, what our aid policy should be, how we can intensify the struggle, how we can bring Americans out of there. Now, that is our object, to bring Americans home, to permit the South Vietnamese to maintain themselves as a free and independent country, and permit the democratic forces within the country to operate, which they can, of course, much more freely when the assault from the inside, and which is manipulated from the north, is ended. So the purpose of the meeting in Honolulu is how to pursue these objectives.
Year by year, the foreign aid program seems to encounter more and more resistance in the Congress, and this year we're seeing senators who ordinarily in the past have gone along with the program.
Yes, this is the worst attack on foreign aid that we've seen since the beginning of the Marshall Plan.
In the event that one of these years the Congress, the arguments for foreign aid notwithstanding, surprises itself by voting the program out, what would we then do?
I think it would be a great mistake. I think, of course, some of the difficulty is where the President sits and where the members of the Senate sit. It's been said very many times, and I've never questioned it, that the Senate and the Congress have every right to decide how much money should be appropriated. That's their constitutional right. But on the other hand, the President bears particular responsibilities in the field of foreign policy. If there are failures in the Middle East, Africa and Latin America, South Vietnam, Laos, it's usually not a senator who is selected to bear the blame, but it's the administration, the President of the United States. I regard this, President Eisenhower regarded, and President Truman. It's no coincidence that all three presidents, since this program began, and presidential candidates, Mr. Nixon, Mr. Stevenson, Governor Dewey, that all of them, Governor Rockefeller today, others, seems to me all recognize the importance of this program. It's because it's a very valuable arm of the United States in the field of foreign policy. I don't think it's recognized what an important influence this has. Now, we spend $51 or $2 billion on defense. We spend $2.5 billion on the atomic energy program. We spend $5 billion on space, of which at least a good percentage has a military implication in the sense of our national security. We spend all this money, and yet we're going to deny the President of the United States a very valuable weapon in maintaining the influence of the United States in this very diversified world. I can't imagine anything more dangerous than to end this program. I can assure you that whoever is President of the United States succeeding me will support this program. Now, the second point I want to make is that what we are now talking about is only a fourth of what we tried to do in the early 50s. When I said in the, I don't understand why we are suddenly so fatigued. I don't regard the struggle as over, and I don't think it's probably going to be over for this century. I think this is a continuing effort, and it's not a very heavy one. It's a fraction of our budget, a fraction of our gross national product. The gross national product of the United States has increased $100 billion. We'll have by the end of this year in a 3-year period. So what we're asking is $1 billion less than in the average program since '47. The need today is greater. These countries are poorer. There's a good many more of them. And yet we're being denied. The President of the United States is being threatened with denying him a very important weapon in helping him meet his responsibility. The Congress has its responsibilities, but in the field of foreign policies, there are particular burdens placed on the president, whoever he may be. The Supreme Court and the Curtis Wright has said the president is the organ of the country in the field of foreign policy. I just want to say, personally as president, and my predecessor said the same, this program is essential to the conduct of our foreign policy. And therefore, I'm asking the Congress of the United States to give me the means of conducting the foreign policy of the United States. And if they do not want to do so, then they should recognize that they're severely limiting my ability to protect the interests of the country. That's how important I think this program is.
President, before you leave the subject, sir, would you comment just a bit further? It is still a fact that a negative action by Congress is something that an administration has great difficulty in coping with.
Right.
Has the administration, has the government looked ahead to that possibility and prepared against it?
No, I can't believe that the Congress of the United States is going to be so unwise unless we're going to retreat from the world. We're going to give up in South Vietnam. We're going to give up in Latin America. I've said before that what we're talking about in the case of Latin America, the Alliance for Progress, for all of Latin America is what the Soviet Union and the bloc are putting into Cuba alone. Now, can you tell me the United States isn't able to do that? In addition, these amendments, which are passed because they don't like a particular leader or a particular national policy, as of the moment, it's a very changing world. Because they don't like the fishing policy, we're going to decide that end all aid to 2 or 3 countries in Latin America that are hard-pressed, rather than permitting us to negotiate the matter out. But anyway, as I say, they have their responsibilities and I have mine. I've just tried to make it very clear that I cannot fulfill my responsibility in the field of foreign policy without this program. Now, the most important program, of course, is our national security, but don't want the United States to have to put troops there. What's going to happen in Laos if it collapses? They're going to blame the Senate or they're going to blame me? I know who they're going to blame, so I need this program. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Last week, Mr. President, the Soviet Union in Moscow showed what they claimed was an anti-missile missile. I wonder if you could tell us what you know about that missile. Is it what they claim it is supposed to be? And also, what is the effectiveness of their anti-missile system?
Well, I don't think it's probably useful to discuss it in detail here. I don't think there's any doubt that they have an anti-missile missile, as do we. The problem, of course, however, is what you deal with saturation. And I don't think that the Soviet Union or the United States have solved the problem of dealing, as I've said before, with a whole arsenal of missiles coming at us at maximum speed with decoys. That, up till now, has been the impossible task.
Mr. President, we seem to be in somewhat of a stalemate on recognizing the new regimes in 2 Latin American countries, the Dominican Republic and Honduras. I'm wondering, the administration perhaps has been reluctant to tell these countries precisely what they had to do to get recognition.
No, we've had discussions with both countries. As you know, this is not just a matter of the United States. This is a matter of nearly the whole hemisphere. In fact, by a vote of 18-1, the OAS voted to have a meeting on the problem of military coups. We've attempted to indicate or inquire what steps each of these 2 countries, the governments of the 2 countries, are prepared to take to return to constitutional government, which we regard as the most desirable form of government and also the one that would be most effective in meeting the challenges of the hemisphere. So we've inquired of both of them, what steps they're prepared to take, when elections would be, who would be in the government. So we've been working very assiduously.
General terms, sir, could you say whether we would be prepared to accept the same conditions for recognition there that we did in the case of the junta in Peru? Elections within 1 year, for example?
Well, I think it'd be unwise to attempt to negotiate it out here, but we did recognize the junta in Peru on the assurances that they would hold elections. They did hold them, and the result was very fair, so that it shows that it can be done. That's what we'd like to see done in these countries. Yes, Mr. Raymond.
In view of the changed situation in South Vietnam, do you still expect to bring back 1,000 troops before the end of the year, or has that figure been raised or lowered?
No, we're going to bring back several hundred before the end of the year. But I think on the question of the exact number, I thought we'd wait till the meeting of November 20th. Yes.
Sir, do you mean to leave the implication by your remarks on the wheat thing that if the Barghorn case is not satisfactory...
No, I wouldn't attempt to. I want to get Professor Barghorn out of prison, and it seems to me the best way to do it is to confine my remarks to what I've said. I'm merely saying, in fact, I won't even say it anymore.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.